All right, welcome to Creator Hardware. Today we're looking at low-profile CPU coolers for your 2U server. Now, what prompted this investigation was a while ago I had a kind of bad bug with my TrueNAS Scale server where it would just spike CPU cores to 100%. Got that bug figured out. It was IX system applications being in my mirror pool for my editing. Once I put it in its own pool, the activity stopped, went back to idling at normal temperatures, but it was sitting there running constantly at 75 degrees. One core, 100%, 75 degrees constant. So I decided maybe my Noctua cooler wasn't good enough, and that kind of prompted this video. So let's talk about my testing procedure first and foremost. I am using a 9900K. I know a lot of people in the audience, especially when they see the coolers I'm using, it well exceeds any of the capacity of any of these coolers. But here's the deal. I underclocked it to 4.5 megahertz, locked all cores, AVX offset set to 1, and then used my control cooler to make sure it wouldn't overheat. On the original BIOS, if I put it at 5 core, all core, it would immediately overwhelm my control, which obviously that's why it's a control. Room temperature was between 70 and 72 degrees, measured by a thermometer in this room. So we maintained that. And I used MX4 paste, spread with a spatula, verified my paste application was good after removal of the coolers, etc. So everything was controlled as best I could. Temperature was controlled as well as I could in my situation, but 2 degrees is about what the room would raise during the test. Now the test I'm using to load the CPU is R23 Cinebench. Now during testing, I monitored temperatures and they all hit basically their max before the test was over. None of them were still climbing while the test was running. So in 10 minutes, I got the final number. Reran test just to verify my results are accurate. So let's start off with my control. So my control for this testing was the Thermalright Assassin King 90, and it was able to maintain temperatures, hence why it was my control. If I went 5 megahertz, it thermal throttled, so I knew that wasn't going to work. That's why I downclocked it. So the Thermalright Assassin King 90, 70 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit room, core hit 70 degrees Celsius. The package hit 70 degrees Celsius as well. No thermal throttling. Is the Thermalright AXP 120-X67. Now that one has a 120 millimeter fan on it, 70 degrees to 72 degrees, 75 degrees Celsius core, 75 degree package as well. No thermal throttling, etc. My particular board and my RAM, it's commercial RAM, not, low profile or anything like that. I did have to remove the RAM stick to get the fan clip on, but other than that, it fit fine. Now the next one up is the Noctua NH-L-X65, for obvious reasons. Room temperature was the same, 82 Celsius core and 83 degree package temperature. Now again, all using the same MX4 paste, spread with a spatula, verified good contact with cooler removal. Now the last one I tested was the ID Cooling IS-55 Black, but it was also the worst performer. 86C core and package 87C. No thermal throttling. Now during testing, the initial testing, I had a memory stick that I had unseated and had not fully reseated, so I went back and remounted and repasted just to verify, made sure the RAM stick was thing, and had 88C and 88C on package and core. So just the worst performing cooler out of the bunch. The sad part is I really like this cooler. One, the fan screws in instead of clipping on, so it's really nice for mounting down. None of the cooler brackets were difficult or anything like that. Coolers just mounted in were easy enough other than reading the directions. Now I went ahead and while I still had the test bench set up for this video, I went ahead and threw a bunch of different thermal paste on there just to kind of see if anything really stood out or was significantly better. Now, unfortunately, during this testing, the room controls kind of rose a little bit too much, but none of the temperatures really mattered all that much. The Thermalright and ID cooling paste dropped a degree, which they shouldn't have, so that might be something. The paste was also really thick and goopy on both those kinds of pastes, but inconclusive. And I even ran it with the last of my Thermal Grizzly paste, and well, no difference. So other than having to worry about things like pump out or drying out, I couldn't see any difference in temperature testing. All right, so the Thermalright won. And I know a bunch of Noctua fanboys are going to be in the comments going, but Noctua's, not their same size. It was never meant to be. But this is about 40 bucks cheaper and performs better. The bigger Noctua is even more expensive. There was one cooler that unfortunately Amazon didn't get to me. It's lost somewhere. And I really wanted to test it. And then before I can publish this video and kind of do a quick segment, I will do that. But I got one cooler that didn't arrive. So way cheaper and even better in cooling than the Noctua. So Thermalright wins. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thanks for watching. This is Creator Hardware.